The threat of increased U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports signals a critical juncture in global economic relations. Could this move ignite a trade war with widespread implications? Stick around as we explore the potential impacts of this contentious decision. In an age where global economic conditions are unpredictable, the United States' upcoming decision to increase tariffs on Chinese imports in 2024 is a bold indication of an escalating trade dispute, one that jeopardizes years of careful diplomatic balancing and economic interconnectedness. This controversial move, rooted in historical themes of mercantilism and protectionism, challenges the fundamental principles of free trade and globalization that have defined our modern era. Infused with elements of nationalism and economic retaliation, this policy risks triggering a full-blown trade war with far-reaching consequences for the already fragile global economy. As we explore further, from the agricultural fields of Iowa to the technological centers of Shenzhen, the repercussions of this decision will reverberate globally. The aggressive stance on international trade taken by the U.S. demands a thorough examination. Is it solely a political tool, a bargaining chip in international diplomacy, or does it signify a deeper shift in global power dynamics? As we peel back the layers of this contentious policy, analyzing its origins, impacts, and potential outcomes, we encourage you to join us until the end. The narrative of U.S.-China trade tensions transcends mere discussions of tariffs and trade imbalances. It embodies a larger narrative of power struggles and the evolving landscape of global leadership. Brace yourselves for this stimulating journey through one of the most contentious economic battles of our time. Washington seems poised to increase tariffs on Chinese imports in 2024, drawing criticism from Beijing and various sectors of U.S. business. This sentiment was echoed by Scott Kennedy, a prominent figure in Chinese business and economics at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, during a virtual panel discussion hosted by the Washington-based think tank. Kennedy attributes the potential tariff increase to China's slow economic recovery post-COVID-19. With domestic demand weakened, the Chinese government has spurred manufacturing and production, inadvertently leading to a surplus. Kennedy suggests that this surplus may result in increased exports to other nations, including the U.S., which could respond with heightened tariffs. Since the Trump administration, the United States has upheld a notably high average tariff rate of 19.3% on imports from China. Furthermore, the U.S. has enforced 247 anti-dumping and countervailing duty measures targeting a range of Chinese products, including steel, chemicals, machinery, and automobiles. In response, China has imposed additional tariffs on specific U.S. goods, further escalating trade tensions between the two global powers. William Range, an esteemed authority in China's economic strategies and response, international business at CFCS, highlighted that any proposed tariffs might encounter delays owing to the protracted legislative process in the U.S. and the current lack of consensus in Congress. It's anticipated that reaching a decision will take longer than 2024 due to procedural hurdles, Range noted, and the process is anything but swift. This ongoing tariff dispute, instigated during the Trump administration, has had widespread repercussions, affecting global supply chains, reshaping trade dynamics, and influencing economic growth in both the U.S. and China. Initially devised to address issues such as intellectual property infringement and trade imbalances, the tariffs have morphed into a multifaceted economic stalemate, mirroring broader geopolitical tensions. Despite the imposition of tariffs, trade between the United States and China has remained robust, albeit strained. In 2023 alone, the U.S. imported over $450 billion worth of goods from China, underscoring the deeply interconnected nature of their economies. Nevertheless, businesses in both nations have encountered difficulties. U.S. companies importing Chinese goods have faced heightened costs, while Chinese exporters have grappled with market uncertainty and the pursuit of alternative markets. The debate surrounding tariffs transcends purely economic considerations and encompasses political and strategic dimensions as well. In the U.S., there is a growing consensus across the political spectrum regarding the necessity to address what many perceive as unfair economic practices by China. However, there is less agreement on the appropriate methods to achieve this goal, with some advocating for engagement while others favor more confrontational approaches such as tariffs. The response of the Chinese government to U.S. tariffs has been multifaceted. On one hand, Beijing has attempted to position itself as a proponent of free trade and globalization, contrasting its stance with what it characterizes as U.S. protectionism. On the other hand, China has expedited efforts to enhance self-reliance, particularly in critical technologies, as part of its dual circulation strategy. This strategy aims to lessen China's reliance on foreign markets and technology, a shift partly catalyzed by the trade tensions with the U.S. The ramifications of tariffs extend beyond just the U.S. and China, impacting the global economy at large. Various countries, especially those in Southeast Asia, have witnessed alterations in their trade patterns as businesses endeavor to circumvent tariffs. For instance, some companies have relocated manufacturing operations from China to nations like Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. While this realignment presents economic opportunities, it also poses challenges for these countries as they contend with sudden increases in industrial activity. Looking forward, the prospect of heightened U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports in 2024 raises numerous questions. Will this escalation exacerbate trade tensions further, or could it prompt both parties to return to the negotiating table? How will this development affect global supply chains already grappling with the aftermath of the pandemic and other geopolitical uncertainties? What will be the repercussions for consumers and businesses in both the U.S. and China? In the United States, the debate over tariffs is intricately intertwined with domestic politics. With the approach of the 2024 presidential election, trade policy, particularly concerning China, is poised to become a focal point of the campaign. Candidates from both major parties will face the challenge of navigating a complex landscape where they must strike a delicate balance between addressing valid concerns about China's trade practices and considering the potential economic consequences of implementing tariffs. Meanwhile, for China, the potential escalation of U.S. tariffs comes at a time when the country is grappling with its own set of economic hurdles. Alongside a sluggish post-pandemic recovery, China is confronting a demographic crisis characterized by a rapidly aging population and a declining birth rate. This demographic shift is anticipated to exert significant impacts on China's labor force and its prospects for economic growth in the forthcoming decades. Additionally, China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, a global strategy for infrastructure development, could face repercussions due to heightened trade tensions with the U.S. The BRI, designed to bolster regional connectivity and establish new trade routes, has faced skepticism from some quarters in the U.S., who perceive it as a vehicle for China to extend its geopolitical influence. The imposition of increased tariffs and the resulting economic strain may impede China's capacity to invest in BRI projects, potentially prompting a reassessment of its foreign policy priorities. The environmental aspect of the trade relationship between the United States and China is another crucial consideration. Both nations are significant contributors to global carbon emissions, and their trade activities have direct environmental impacts. The production and transportation of goods across the Pacific Ocean contribute substantially to greenhouse gas emissions. Consequently, any alterations in trade policies, including the implementation of tariffs, could yield environmental repercussions. The potential increase in U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports in 2024 presents a multifaceted issue with economic, political, strategic, and environmental dimensions. It underscores the intricacies inherent in the U.S.-China relationship and carries implications that extend well beyond bilateral trade. As policymakers, businesses, and consumers in both countries, as well as across the globe, closely monitor these developments, the decisions made in Washington and Beijing will have profound and far-reaching consequences for the global economy and the broader international order. How do you think the ongoing trade tensions between the United States and China will impact global economic stability in the long term? Feel free to share your insights in the comments below. Join the Revel Discovery community by subscribing and stay updated on this critical shift in global economics. As we explore these significant developments, your perspective is invaluable. Keep engaged with us.